What's up, guys? How you doing? I'm Jules. Thank you for coming back for another weekly update. I am having a week. I'm having a month. I'm having a year. I'm just like, all right. We're gonna breeze through this, and then I'll tell you all my fun stuff. Let's just talk about cross stitch to start. All right. Let me show you some things that I've made progress on, haven't made progress on, a little bit on, where'd I put it? A little bit on, where'd you go? Oh, Reaper. Yeah, I'm not even sure if I did anything on Reaper, to be honest with you, because we had some issues that popped up last week after the video, and I ended up I didn't get as much stitching done last week as I thought I would, because last week ended up not being as restful as I wanted it to be. Let me show you. I'm going to straight up apologize for this video to get started, because if I seem like I'm a little on edge, you'll find out when you get to the end of the video why. But I'm just kind of having a day. So I apologize, guys. I really do. I'm sorry. You know me. I've done 300 videos or whatever, and 99% of them I'm in a really ridiculous mood. Not so much today. Let me show you, though, what's turning into my favorite piece right now, which is raising the flag, and how well this sucker's turning out. So I have this part of the rocks down here, all the way through here. So that shows you kind of where things are at. And that's his bag that's hanging off the back of his waist there. And so I'm just back here, and I'm just moving across. That looks pretty good. I'm still quite pleased with this one. I'm still quite pleased. So I started working on it a little bit last night. I want to work on it a lot more tonight. But I need to make some level of progress. I really thought I was going to get a lot of cross stitching done this week. And then I ran into an issue. And you know how sometimes you'll be cross stitching and you'll be like, everything's great. I'm doing awesome. I'm making so much progress on this piece. And then you realize, yeah, you made a mistake and you got to frog it all out. So I had to frog about probably over 1,000 stitches out of Rainy Waterloo Place. And I did. I did. But we all know how that can kind of just crush your wanting to sort of jump right back into the situation. So I was on the stream, I think on Thursday, when I realized that things were not real, or maybe it was off stream, but I realized that things weren't going the way that they should with Rainy Waterloo. For whatever reason, my grid wasn't lining up on Pattern Keeper to what I had stitched. Like, say I'm stitching, like, Pattern Keeper tells me that I've got 4 more to the end of that box, and then I go down 10 and 10 and 10 and 10, and then it didn't line up though with the bottom of the pattern, and at the bottom of what I had stitched versus what was on Pattern Keeper. So I went back and I'm like, well, I think probably what happened is there's likely a discrepancy between the paper pattern I started with and the Pattern Keeper pattern that I have. And that usually doesn't happen. I would say that's very unusual. But do you guys remember when I was working on baseball for a while there? I still got to go back to the baseball piece, but I was working on baseball and I was like on page 2 or 3, and I realized that something had changed. I think back in the day, like 13 years ago when I bought these patterns, Cross Stitch Collectibles was likely printing them out at a certain stitches per page. Let's call it that. And it was a larger print pattern, so it would come out to like 60 stitches or 60, let's say stitches, 60 stitches per page, which might look something like this. So it just goes across and everything's fine. And so that's the page. And so with baseball, I discovered that they kind of redid those patterns at some point, and they started doing them more at like 70 or 80. I don't know what it was, but definitely a higher stitch count per page. And invariably what that does is it changes up in the total pattern where your pages fall, you have less pages because you're fitting more stitches on a page. And that's fine as long as you realize that. And when I realized that when I changed the pattern with baseball, anyway, it goes back a long ways, but I realized what I did wrong and I had to sort of fix some things. Not a big deal, but I forgot that had happened with baseball. So when I went to go start using Pattern Keeper with this one, I don't know what that sound is downstairs. It's probably Doogie. When I realized that when I put this on, what basically happened was where I thought I was in the pattern, I was actually like here. Pattern Keeper was showing me that I should have been right here. And the reality is in the overall pattern, I was up here because I was just using the wrong translation, basically. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So unfortunately, it happened to be a page that I was just going nuts on. I was stitching like crazy. And I had a lot done. And then I had to take it all out. And just so you guys know, if you guys are new to cross stitching and you're like, why do they call removing stitches frogging? It's because you rip it right out of there. And so you're not really ripping, but you're gently coaxing the thread back out. So let me show you guys what happened. Let me show you. And I left I left the gridding in so you guys can see, because I had gridded it. I went and gridded the whole, and it was actually, thank God I gridded it, because I might have finished this page, and I could have easily gone a lot longer without realizing that I had made a mistake. But thankfully I decided that I was going to just grid out the rest of the row from like this point down, and if I hadn't done that now, I would have had even more stitches in it. I would have felt terrible. Well, not terrible. It would have felt like I'd wasted time. But let me show you. Can you guys see this? My lighting is not as good today, but you can see my gridding. And so I actually gridded it a couple different ways, and it still kept coming out wrong. It still kept going out wrong. But I fixed it, okay? I can't show you because Pattern Keeper is on my phone, which is what I'm using to record the video. But what I discovered was I was about 5 stitches, how do I say this? Where I thought I was, I'm actually 5 stitches higher. So I had to go back into Pattern Keeper and unhighlight the 5 rows above all the way across to the end of the pattern. Not a huge deal, but it does make a difference in this kind of pattern, in this kind of full coverage pattern. And I had thought that the horse and buggy was looking a little weird, but I just didn't. Sometimes you don't want to go look. Sometimes you don't want to find that problem. So anyway, so there's that. So yeah, it's okay. So I don't know if you could tell, but I actually started up already again, because I will not let it defeat me. And I'm not putting this, we were just talking about this on the stream too, because people were saying I had to frog so much out of this one piece, I don't even want to look at it for a while. I'm putting it aside and going away. And I'm like, I want to get this thing done. I need to finish. I want to see what it looks like. So all I got done was just a little bit there. So anyway, I'll keep going. But that's it for that. So I didn't make any new cross stitch pieces for the store. If you guys haven't seen a couple of videos in a while, I have opened my own Etsy store, Stitching Jules Design. Obviously it's on Etsy, and there'll be a link down below if you want to check it out. And but I didn't do any patterns the last week or two. Just didn't really feel like it. And where to start? Where to start with talking to you guys about stuff? Let's just go back to the beginning. So I have to tell you that I kept a secret from you guys, and I kept a secret for a little while, and it's an okay secret now. It's not a bad secret. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to worry you, but I was on quarantine for the big C, the virus, basically. I was in quarantine for 10 days last week, and so my quarantine ended on Monday, and I went back to work. I was exposed to a client 2 weeks earlier who was actually, okay, so here's something that you guys should know. The virus comes out in a lot of different ways, and for this particular person, her only symptom that she was having these episodes of like sort of lightheadedness, almost like either like a low blood pressure or a mild faint. Is there such a thing as a mild faint? I don't know. Or like I would even call it like a small stroke or something along those lines, because we were in a room talking to each other and she just went away. She just went away and she started kind of weaving back and forth a little bit. So I had to grab her and I pulled her mask down because I wanted to check her face and see if she was having a stroke. So it's like you look for like one side of the mouth drooping, the eye drooping. There's a couple different things that you look for, and I was looking at her face and making sure she wasn't having a stroke. And then so then I sat her down and gave her some food and some water and talked to her and just made sure she was okay. And she recovered and she was better, but she's like, yeah, I'm going to go to the doctor and find out what's going on. She'd had a few of these episodes. And so they couldn't find anything wrong. Blood pressure was normal. Everything checked out okay. But they said, it could be flu-like symptoms. But just in case, and she'd already had a flu shot. So just in case, let's do a COVID test. And then it came back positive. Within 4 or 5 days, she was feeling a lot better and everything was good. But when the test came back positive, it was Friday morning. Friday, like not last Friday, but the Friday before that. And she called to tell me that she had tested positive because we both had our masks off in the room together for a solid at least 10 minutes, pretty close to each other while I was making sure she was okay. So I was like, great, I get to go home. So it wasn't that great. I had a lot of work to do. We're in the final phases of our construction of work, and I'm sort of the lead person on that. So that was a lot of fun to be home trying to figure out. I still had a lot of things to do here. I thought I would get a lot of stitching. I got some stitching done before last Thursday. So, because the last video, I was like almost a week into my quarantine. So I was feeling good by then. I was kind of past my worry stage. I had been tested. My test came back on last Friday. I was negative, so they let me go back to work on Monday. Anyway. So there was that. So the first like 5 days, I was really worried, because you're worried, am I going to get sick? All these different things are happening. And that was fine. I started feeling better because I took some time off and I was sleeping and I was de-stressing, and I actually felt better overall. And then towards the end of the week, the whole thing with the fires up in Estes Park flared up. No pun intended. Well, if you guys have watched this channel for a while, you know that my husband and I like to go up to Estes Park. We haven't gone in a while, but we usually try and make a trip up 2-3 times a year. My aunt, who married into the family, has her family has a very long history in Estes Park. Her grandfather built this cabin like back in 1915 or something ridiculous. And it's a summer cabin. It's a beautiful cabin. It's very old. And we go up there, a fair bit. And it means a lot to a lot of different people. And it is it's about a mile from that main entrance to Rocky Mountain National Park, from where Estes Park is. So where the fire was, as it jumped from one end of Rocky Mountain National Park to the other side, it was heading towards Estes Park, and people were being evacuated, and everything was going crazy. If it ever got into Estes Park, it would have had to gone through where the cabin is and destroyed it. And that would obviously be really terrible. So that ended up being like what we did on Friday and Saturday, like nothing but, where's the fire? What's going on? And it got pretty dang close. But thankfully it stalled enough and the firefighters really just did an amazing job holding it where they did, that they held it kind of right where the entrance to the park is. There's a couple of big meadows out in that area, and they were able to kind of stall the fire right there. And that's also pretty close to, it's probably like 500 yards from where my husband and I actually got engaged, where he proposed to me. So so we were freaking out about that, but that ended up being okay, thankfully. You know, it's just feeling really therapeutic for me to talk to you guys. I hope you don't mind. You know, I hope you sat down and just, you know, relax. And so this is like, I should be laying on the couch. But anyway, so that was Friday and Saturday, and then by the time Sunday came around, starting to get a little hyped back up for work, and then just been exhausted with work, with literally running down to the final bell. When you're opening a kennel, like your two big holidays of the year are Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we were really hoping that we could have planned better for Thanksgiving. We were hoping that we would have been open, that we could be full for Thanksgiving. As it stands now, we'll probably be open about a week before Thanksgiving, which means that we aren't going to be full. And I've just had to make peace with that. I'm like, whatever. And so I just want to be done and opened. So every day, it's always been something with this whole project. It's been over 2 years that we've been working on it. A lot of stress, a lot of sleepless nights. A lot of times I come home crying. Just because of just the ups and downs of this entire project. And today something happened that was just like, when I told my husband, he was like, wow, that's just so fitting with how everything is gone. I was like, yeah, I know. So today was like one of the last, there's like 3 things left to do, 3 big things left to do. And one of them was, we're laying in a new entryway outside the building. We're putting in new sidewalks, new ramps, new steps, all this other stuff. And so it had been way too cold this week. It was like 4 degrees when I got when I got to work yesterday. It was 4 degrees, and it was way too cold to do anything with concrete. Today it wasn't. So they poured all the concrete, got it all laid out. Everything was looking good. It must be a quick setting concrete because it looked amazing. It looked like it was fairly dry already by like late afternoon, and I was just getting ready to leave for the day, and they had removed the forms on the side, the wooden forms and whatnot, and they were already taking all those out. And a brand new client came, and somehow right in front of them they had everything blocked. They had everything blocked off for the whole week. Like everything was police taped, and there were like big signs pointing, go to the side entrance. Everything had been like that all week. And as these guys were basically cleaning up, and they removed about half of that because they're like, well, we'll put it back in place before we leave, but they were just kind of rearranging some things. Somebody came and got out of the car and looked like that was the front door, because that is the front door, and there wasn't anything marking that the concrete was wet. And she walked on it. She walked on the concrete, and she didn't mean to, and she felt terrible about it. And I'm partially like, I'm wanting to laugh and I'm wanting to cry. And so I was just kind of like, okay, let me go talk to the boys out here. And so I went outside, and they were still out there, and I walked up to the foreman and I said, hi, saw what happened right there, didn't you? And he said, yes. And I said, did it damage the concrete? He said, well, we're going to look at it. So he went and he looked at it, and he came back. He says, I don't think so. I think just the top layer was disturbed, and I don't think it's going to show up once you rinse everything off. Okay. I'm like, can you put all the barriers back so that nobody else does this? And so they were like, yeah. And so it's just, I got home so ramped up because of this. It's just, this is so fitting. Oh, I aged. I am so white. Like, I have so many white hairs from this whole thing. We're almost there. We're so close. We're so close. We're like mile 25 of a marathon right now. And I'm just dust. I'm just. So I'd like to cross stitch tonight. We'll see if I truly feel relaxed enough to do that. Oh yeah, and another friend's positive for COVID too. I think they're fine. But you gotta be safe, people. Wear a mask. Distance yourself. Wash your hands. Oh! But the good news is, new puppy shows up on Saturday. Well, it doesn't show up. We have to go way down and get her. We have to drive like an hour south and go get her. And I don't have a picture to show you guys, but I will show you her next week. It will be awesome. Arthur next door is barking a lot. Her name is, we're going to call her Leia. Her name currently is Layla, but we're calling her Leia. She's getting spayed tomorrow. They're going to reach out, let me know how she's doing afterwards. And so she's adorable. She's absolutely adorable and sweet. Even though I only met her for like 5 minutes, she's perfect. And so we're really excited. So I have to work on Saturday, and then once I'm done with work, hubby's gonna swing by and pick me up, and we're gonna head on down and go get her. I'm so excited. Did I show you guys her clothes? Do I still have her clothes up here? I don't think I do. Did I show you guys her pouchy? She's got a little pouchy that she's gonna sit in, and then I don't know what I did with her clothes. Oh, I know what. I was gonna wash her clothes, so they're in the other room. So I gotta wash them and then make sure they're all fresh for her. I talked a lot longer than I thought I would, but you guys are really good listeners. So I hope you didn't mind the ramble. If you've made it this far, thank you. You're either incapable of turning your phone off or you like me. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I gotta get back into some designing. I know I do. So much is going on. But, you would think that with 10 days home that you would get so much done. And I did. I just wasn't working on cross-stitch stuff so much. I have a lot of other side projects that I do that I don't talk about. But I have a lot of other things that I do. But yeah. That's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else. All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much. I'm streaming tomorrow morning for a while, my normal time, roughly 8 o'clock Mountain. Usually it's about 8:15 by the time I get started. And I've got a stitch on Rainy Waterloo, and I don't know what I will stitch on this week. We'll see. I've got to keep working on Reaper because my buddy that is, do you guys remember way back in the spring, I was like, my buddy's getting promoted. It's so cool. We're going to go down and see him in San Antonio when he gets promoted and all that good stuff. And so we can't make it, obviously. And so it's a totally Zoom. It's a Zoom promotion. We're going to all be on the call via Zoom. So this project is for him. And I originally hoped back in the spring, I'm like, oh, I'll finish Reaper by the time I see him. I really wanted to. But yeah, that didn't really happen. So now we're just working away on old Reap. And so, I don't know, maybe I'll stay up here tonight and work on Reaper. I need a little alone time. Just me and the Reaper. Give him a piece of my mind. All right. Now I'm for real. Now I'm for reals. Can't believe I talked this long. I thought it was going to be a 5-minute talk and that was it. But you guys have made me feel better, so. All right. Happy Halloween. And be safe. Don't be crazy. Yeah, be safe. I'll see you guys soon with Miss Layla. Maybe we'll put a video out. Maybe we'll put a short video out after we get her. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how she's feeling. All right. Take care, guys. See ya. Bye.